Welcome back to Bun and Cheese Reviews. This is the part 2 of last week's video. So it's the second part of the top 10 comedy movies of all time that I've seen. So, without further ado, let's get into it, because I've got a bit to say about a bit of these films. Number 5, Johnny English. I spoke about Rowan Atkinson quite a lot on my forgotten animated cartoon series for Mr. Bean. And here he is again with a classic. He plays the titular character who is an MI7 agent, but he's extremely stupid and incompetent, but does harbour good intentions. So throughout the movie there is a vast amount of hilarious scenes with English stupidity playing a massive role, such as the graveyard scene where he literally dances on somebody's grave, the scene where he drops onto the wrong building and causes a panic, and where he takes out his partner from behind thinking he was the enemy. You can't help but root for him at every opportunity, from his ongoing battle against a bad accent French villain, Pascal Sauvage or whatever you want to say, portrayed by John Malkovich, to his romantic entanglement. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. I know I'm a whole year too late why you say it, but while I'm recording it, that word is still about. With Lorna Campbell, portrayed by Natalie Imbruglia. This movie produced 2 sequels, with the latest one in 2018 not gaining much critical acclaim, but there is no doubt that Atkinson is a national treasure for all the parts he has played, including this one, and it will be sad to see him go the day he chooses to retire, whenever that may be. Number 4, 40-Year-Old Virgin. So I mentioned being a fan of Steve Carell in the first part of this top 10 list. Go back and check that out if you haven't already. This film is what it says on the tin, and it does an excellent job, the main character Andy, who Carell portrayed. But ultimately, it makes sense how much he fit the role when he literally made the character up himself when performing an improv comedy group. Andy's work friends quickly find out in the film he's a virgin, and in typical dude fashion, go out of their way to try and get him laid. This is where the comedy really picks up, with Cal and Jay, portrayed by Seth Rogen and Manny Malcol respectively, being my favourite out of the group, with Cal having quick and funny one-liners when faced against David, who is portrayed by Paul Rudd, with the scene, "Do you know how I know you're gay?" and Jay being the mischievous one of the group, constantly into funny wars with his colleague and proceeding to steal from the company and cheat on his wife. Just watch the film to find out why all of that is funny, especially the last part. I think what's really underappreciated about the film is the realistic take of the whole situation. Nothing ever seemed too far-fetched, and being able to hold that down in a movie while still being pretty funny is something to be proud of for sure. Number 3, Rush Hour 2. This movie is the perfect example of a sequel done right. While thinking of movies for this top 10, I initially thought of the first Rush Hour, and even though I thoroughly enjoyed it, there is a lot more memorable jokes, fight scenes and other moments in this film. Just to name a few, there's when Carter tries to bust the main antagonist in a spa thinking it will be light work, without realising how many goons he's surrounded by. The scene where Lee is missing Carter and vibes to Missing You by P. Diddy in the car. And my most memorable scene in the movie where Carter causes a distraction for Lee in the casino in the craziest ways you can imagine, like jumping on a table and rolling the dice for racial justice with Mandela! I've heard people call these movies extremely predictable, and that's the reason they don't like them. But let's keep it real. Who really watches a buddy cop film for the plot? We want to see the chases, the cool gun and or fight scenes and jokes, and this movie does deliver on all of that. Whether it be from Carter getting a high heel to the face and continue to push his luck, or to the spa scene I mentioned earlier, where they take out half of Ricky Tan's men just through teamwork. Ever since I watched the first movie, I said whoever put Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan together deserves some sort of award. And I don't care if you have to make it up just for them, because they bounce off each other so well. They might just be the best movie duo of all time. And they have 3 classic movies to back this up, because despite what Tucker said in the bloopers, damn, there was a Rush Hour 3. Number 2, Borat. Sacha Baron Cohen is one of the earliest comedians I ever remember. As I was growing up with his show, Ali G in the House, I was only 6 when this came out, but that didn't stop me from being thoroughly entertained by the character he created through his mannerisms of black, British and even some American culture, even if I didn't understand all the jokes at the time. And he even managed to fool the young me so much that I actually thought he was mixed race growing up. This is what rose him to fame and made him create even more fictionalized characters. So when Borat came out, I didn't think anything could be as funny as Ali G, but I was wrong. The plot is fairly simple. He travels all the way to America from Kazakhstan in pursuit of Pamela Anderson and proceeds to offend every single person he meets on his journey. Some of my favourite scenes are when Borat and Azmat stay at the B&B and freak out when they find out the owners are Jewish. God, there's no monetizing this video, isn't there? When him and Azmat get into a naked fight in the hotel that sprawls out into the corridors, elevator and the front office. And when Borat finally meets Pamela Anderson and proceeds to try to abduct her in broad daylight before security intervenes. Whether you like his comedy or not, there is no denying just how talented Cohen is, and I've got to commend how far he's willing to go just to make people laugh. Number 1, Rush Hour 3. So you probably guessed it being on here from one of the previous segments, but here we are. The third movie in the franchise is usually the worst. I mean, all you need to do is look at Marvel films like X-Men, Blade and the original Spider-Man trilogy as proof of that. But I was pleasantly surprised with this installment, hence going into it thinking nothing can beat number 2 for me, but boy was I wrong. So let me break it down, all my favourite moments, with the first one being Carter in the dojo, realising he's getting into it with the wrong people, when Sun Ming Ming, who is the tallest basketball player to ever play the game in the world, kicks his ass with little to no effort. Then it transitions straight into the "no you, no me" conversation, which was also hilarious. All the taxi driver scenes, especially when Carter forces him to sing the national anthem, were funny, and when Lee saves Carter's life before waiting 5 minutes when he's with a woman in bed. And of course, near the end of the movie, the black people don't fly joke. There's even more memorable scenes that I haven't mentioned, but because quite frankly I'll be here all day just focused on this movie. Again, Chan and Tucker produced yet another hit that left me wanting more. Unfortunately, I don't think there will ever be a full film due to Tucker's words of it will cost way too much to get him and Lee back together. But this is without a doubt my top comedy film of all time. So that is it. Thank you for watching this two-parter. First time I've ever done that on this series, and if you haven't watched the first part and you watch the second, what are you doing with your life? Go watch the first, man. There was a 10 till 6 and then this 5 till 1, but I appreciate all what you're doing. And next week is going to be my last week of movies, and it's going to be my last week that I'm going to record in this present day. What I mean by that is still in September of last year while you're seeing this, while I'm recording this. And there's going to be a break for me. I don't know if there'll be a break for you, but again, I'll figure it out and I'll let you all know on social media accounts. So, have a good rest of the weekend and till next time.